Good afternoon. My name is Megan Carmel, and this is Kevin Buettner. We are with the Ohio Mideastern Governments Association, and we want to welcome you to our virtual public meeting for our Regional Development Plan, which is a merge of our SEDS plan and our Long Range Transportation Plan. So today we'll be giving a little overview about who we are as an organization, as well as an overview of the plan, go over some of our needs and recommendations, and then at the end we'll have time for questions, comments, concerns. So Omega is a local development district and a council of governments. We have 10 county governments in our region. 8 of those are part of our Regional Transportation Planning Organization, or the RTPO. And those are Carroll, Columbiana, Coshocton, Guernsey, Harrison, Holmes, Muskingum, and Tuscarawas counties. Belmont and Jefferson counties are part of our Community and Economic Development Services. And we also have 12 city governments in membership. Those are Cambridge, Coshocton, Dover, East Liverpool, New Philadelphia, Salem, Uhrichsville, and Zanesville as part of the RTPO, and then Martins Ferry, St. Clairsville, Steubenville, and Toronto are part of our Community and Economic Development Services. So some of the services that we provide as part of our mission to provide a pathway to enhance community and economic growth in our region. We provide planning assistance to local governments, and we also provide funding and administrative services. So going after grant funding, helping put those together, going after those additional funding sources. And then the 2 that we're going to be focusing on today are the development of the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, or the SEDS, and our work as a regional transportation planning organization, and how we're melding those together. So some of our services covered under the RTPO. We have short-range planning, which includes the creation of active transportation plans and school travel plans. We also have regional transportation planning services that cover all 8 of our transportation counties. The big one that we're focusing on today is the Regional Transportation Plan, which looks out over the next 25 years. We also have a short-range plan, the Regional Transportation Improvement Plan, which covers the years 2021 to 2024. And we also provide some technical services.
Thank you, Megan. When we went through to start doing some research for our plans, we wanted to see what kind of growth we would be having in the region. And based on the latest projections that we do have from the Census Bureau, some counties in our region are going to grow, some quite large, a large share. Others going to shrink a little bit, but overall the actual number of people, even though Carroll County is losing 13%, that's only a couple thousand people because of the smaller population. Pardon us, we do have a train going in behind us. We did look at the population pyramid too to see what are the age groups that are living here in the region currently. And right now we do have a very large elderly population, people 65 years and older, but we also have a very large youth population. And our goal with this plan is how to develop the region to keep the kids here once they graduate high school and graduate college. How do we keep them here, keep them employed, and move the region forward? Another statistic we looked at is the median household income for the region, and we mapped that per census tracts. The darker colors on the map indicate census tracts that have a higher median household income versus the lighter colors, which have a lower median household income. Generally, the more rural areas, you have less people, so if they have higher incomes, it's divided over less people, so generally they have a little bit higher. And as you see closer to the urban cores, you have a little bit lower. Conversely, we also wanted to look at where the poverty levels were, and this is almost the inverse of the last map. But we do have some census tracts with high numbers of populations with that are below the poverty level line. Again, some of those are centered on the urban areas, more developed areas, the county seats, but there are some in some of the more remote areas, especially in southeast Tuscarawas County. We also looked at where people are working and what kind of different industry clusters they would be working in. Some of the big ones here: transportation, logistics, shipping, a lot of wood products, a lot of timber in this area, and also the plastics industry, which will tie in, especially when we have a proposed ethane cracker plant in Belmont County. There's one being constructed across the state line near Columbiana County over in Pennsylvania. That will actually be the feedstock for that plastics industry. So we actually forecast a lot of these industry clusters to grow in the future as the product is locally sourced and a lot cheaper for manufacturing. We've been working with our partners. This is not an exhaustive list. We will be adding to this as they're submitted, but some of the larger future developments that will impact economic and community development and transportation development throughout the region. Two of the biggest ones are proposed corridors. The one to the north starts near Canton and goes east into Columbiana County with a spur into Carroll County is the US 30 and State Route 43 corridor, improving that to 4 lanes in the future. This is just a representative sample. This isn't the final alignment or anything. We're just trying to get an idea of potentially where this highway would be built. And also the completion of the Columbus-Pittsburgh corridor, which is mostly done, but about 30% remains. So those red lines right through the middle of the map in Coshocton, Tuscarawas, and Harrison counties, getting that into a 4-lane highway that would go all the way from Columbus to Pittsburgh and basically bypass 70 and function as that relief valve. Slightly smaller projects, but will still be impactful for the region. Adding dorms to the KSU Tuscarawas campus in New Philadelphia, future mixed-use development west of New Philadelphia near 77, putting in big-scale developments like that will impact not only the intersections but the local highways and add to congestion. So we want to plan for those ahead of time so we don't have to deal with the impacts after it's too late.
All right. So some of the proposed goals for the plan. These are goals that we developed with our transportation planning partners to help meet the needs of our region. So these include preserving regional assets to support our local economies, increasing the safety of regional infrastructure, facilitating economic and community development, and developing and maintaining resiliency throughout the region. So basically, we want to preserve and maintain the great things we already have in the region, as well as continue to make them better moving forward.
And one reason we asked everyone to attend today is to get a little bit of input, some public input for our goals. We've listed the reasons why we chose them. Preserving what we have, definitely saving cost for taxpayer money. Safety is crucial for all types of infrastructure, whether it's water, wastewater, transportation. I think it goes without saying we want to grow the regional economy and keep this economy rolling, especially as we face some pretty crazy headwinds. I think we can all agree at this time. And also develop regional resiliency so that we can weather downturns as they happen. So last summer, early fall, we put out a public survey, and we actually got quite a few responses. And more or less, for the people that responded, they were kind of in line with what we were already proposing, with maintaining roads and bridges, improving roadway safety, relieving traffic congestion. So a lot of maintaining what we have, increasing that safety, and facilitating economic community development. Overall, I think a lot of people in the region are all on the same page. It's just a matter of how do we proceed going forward.
So looking at some of our current and future conditions, the first one we're looking at for roadway is level of service. So that's kind of taking a look at the traffic flows on some of our major roadways. So this is a current look at our level of service, and so Some of the problem areas that we're already looking at are US 62 in Columbiana County. So anything that's highlighted in red is going to be some of our problem areas currently that we want to make sure we look at into the future as well. The northern part of 77, looking from about Millersburg to Dover, south of Coshocton, and portions of I-70, as well as south of Cambridge in Guernsey County. And then looking ahead, so these are some models that were forecasted out to 2045, which is the length of time we're looking at for the plan. So we're still seeing some of the same problem areas, but maybe a little bit of growth in the areas that we're already seeing issues. So a huge portion of I-70 from Zanesville to Cambridge is going to be a major issue, it looks like, out to 2045. A big portion of the major roads in Tuscarawas County, portions of 250 and 22, and then we're still looking at major traffic flow issues on that portion of 62 in Columbiana County.
And another measure of how roadways are functioning is the volume to capacity ratio. So how many cars are the roads designed for versus how much volume is actually on there. And you'll see some of the areas are still highlighted, 62 in Columbiana County, south of 70 in Cambridge, and Maple Avenue in Zanesville. And when we pushed it out to 2045, based on forecasted trends, you're still seeing a lot of those issues. Zanesville, not only on Maple Avenue, but now 70. The Guernsey County portion of 70 west of Cambridge, 77 around New Philly and Dover, and 62 outside of Alliance in Columbiana County. We also wanted to see where truck traffic was going to grow. That was one thing that kind of snuck up on us with the last plan, with oil and gas booming when we were writing that one in 2014, 2015. So we mapped all the truck traffic increases, and it seems to be across the entire region. Anything that's in red is 3% or greater growth by trucks. So Harrison County still will have a lot of growth, even though they already have a lot, but also parts of northwest and southern Guernsey County, throughout Holmes County, Columbiana County, and Carroll County will all be impacted. And in terms of preserving what we have and safety, we wanted to look at bridges that are deficient. These just mean that they're coming up on maintenance lists. They are, the general appraisal condition rating is 0 to 4. 0 is closed, 1 imminent closure. 3 and 4 just means that they are advanced deterioration and it's time to do them. A lot of times these are already programmed for maintenance within the next year or two. Occasionally, especially on a smaller road, they may be weight restricted, especially during the winter. But overall, this number has gone down, the number of deficient bridges, but we want to keep monitoring them going into the future. Every year in the spring, we look at all the crashes that happened for the prior 3 years, just to see if there are any trends that we can see, where crashes happening, why are they happening, and what severity are those crashes. It's no surprise in more developed areas, more urban areas, such as New Philly and Dover or Zanesville, just because you have more people, you have more crashes, and occasionally those can be severe. A lot of the fatal crashes are on the state maintained system. Some of these do involve alcohol and drugs. A couple may have involved animals, but when you strip those out, a lot more of them are unsafe speeds, failure to control, and occasionally are weather related as well. We also look at serious injury. So these are pretty severe injuries that are going to take you to a hospital, potentially could be life altering. And they're a little bit more widespread. They are, again, clustered on most of the state maintained system, but you are seeing a lot more in the urbanized areas such as Zanesville, Cambridge, New Philly, Dover. Occasionally this is where a pedestrian is hit by a car. Those tend to be very serious injuries. Or if there's a buggy accident, those could also be serious injury. But it also could be one car or two car or multiple cars. And then we did want to also strip out the non-motorized crashes that we have. And we have bicycle, pedestrian, and buggy crashes mapped out. Again, the bicycle, pedestrian, you're going to see those more in your urbanized areas. But the buggy crashes, which is kind of why Eastern Homes all of a sudden showed up on this map, is a lot of times you do have bike and ped, but also the buggies have been added in, and that's a high concentration of the Amish population. So some of those safety countermeasures need to be adapted to make sure that they work for all users of the roadway. One of the proposed projects that we are going to be working on over the next couple of decades will be to get the US 30 corridor completed. Right now it ends in just west of East Canton, and they do have funding to do some preliminary engineering and some design work to take it south of East Canton to intersect with State Route 44. And from there to the east, again, this line is not where the road is actually going to go. It's just where we had a proposed alignment about a decade ago. But we wanted to see roughly what communities would be impacted, how would they be impacted, and are there ways that we can adapt these plans as we go forward to make sure that it impacts the least amount of people and helps the economic growth through the region. It's the last remaining section of 30 that is not 4 lanes between Pennsylvania and Indiana. So for us, we want to get that last peg done. We're also looking at the Columbus-Pittsburgh corridor. Like I mentioned earlier, it roughly parallels I-70. It's a little bit more direct from Columbus to Pittsburgh, and would take some of the freight potentially off of 70, reduce some of the trucks and some of the additional traffic, and also give residents a much more direct route into Columbus and over to Pittsburgh to access services. Right now, this list is not exhaustive, but the summary of needs that we've put together so far is about $243 million. Almost half of it is in transportation projects at $117 million. About $23 million in water projects such as new water tanks and water systems. Wastewater, sewers, and water treatment plants, about $75 million in needs. And other infrastructure and initiatives, this would include broadband, tourism-related funding, job force and workforce-related funding. We have requests for about $28 million in the region. So we put together the 3 I's, and that's, if the very small summary of this plan is to invest in the region. We need better broadband, we need to make sure our infrastructure is safe and that's going to last into the future, and we need to invest in our workforce. We want our kids to remain here. We want this region not to be the brain drain. We don't want everyone to go to Columbus or to the bigger city and never come back. We want them to get their education and come back and work here and make our communities better. We want to make sure that we include everyone, from youth all the way to senior citizens, everyone in between, people with disabilities. We're here for everyone. We want to make sure that everybody is taken care of in terms of community and economic development, in terms of transportation, and we want to improve resiliency. We don't want to put all our eggs in one basket and hope that the basket doesn't upset. We want to make sure that everything is as strong as it can be.
So we have a link at the bottom of this slide, which takes you right to our Long Range Transportation Plan SEDS page. So are we able to
Let's see if I can pull that
go
up.
to that?
Technical difficulties. There we go.
Cool. So we're just kind of showing you what this looks like if you visited our website. So the 2020 public meeting slides are there. If you haven't been able to find them, feel free to pull them up and download them. We've got the full draft plan on the left down at the bottom, as well as broken out by each section. And then on the right, we have all the appendices as part of the plan. So these are any additional maps, additional policies like our broadband policy. We have spreadsheets of all of our proposed projects, as well as the public involvement period and the comments that we'll get from you guys. So then at the bottom, we have a form for your comments. So if you have any comments or questions about the plan as you're going through, please feel free to submit them there. We'll also have our contact information at the end of this if you wanted to send those to us directly, but this is kind of the easiest and most straightforward way to do it from our website. And then the plan will be continued to be updated on our website as we receive your comments. So stay tuned for that.
So we're about to open it up for questions and comments. So I wanted to bring this slide back up. If you have any input to adjust our goals or strategies of how to accomplish these goals, or if you have any ideas, please let them know. You can leave them in the Facebook comments, or if you're on the line, you can also go ahead and shout them out.
So this is a look at our current RTPO unfunded projects for the 8-county region. So these include new facilities, which are highlighted in yellow, intersection and bridge projects in orange, and then roadway projects in red. And the green areas on this map, I wanted to mention, they represent environmental justice areas, which are either low-income areas or areas with a high minority population. So as we're moving forward and looking to tackle some of these projects, we want to make sure we aren't adversely impacting anyone in these potentially vulnerable areas. So we may look at these areas with greater scrutiny as we get funding for some of these projects and moving forward. And I also wanted to note that this map will be made available online as an interactive map in the coming weeks. So you'll be able to zoom in and out, click on individual projects, and get more details about them, such as the total estimated cost for the project, as well as more details on the type of project that we're looking at. So continue to check back to the website over the next few weeks for that interactive map.
And now we'll open up for any comments that may have come through. We'll have our communications manager, Kennedy, will be shouting them out to us. But as we go through this, if you don't have comments now, we're going to have this window open until June 19th, so about 45 days. You can send us comments by email through the link on the website. You can give us a call, or U.S. Postal Service still works, so you can always send us a little snail mail as well.
Are there any questions?
The only question that we've received so far is just, could you confirm that the presentation is available on the website?
Yes, the link is live.
Yep, you can find that on that long-range transportation plans page. So if you want to pull it up again, we can show them exactly how to get to it if the link doesn't work.
So it's this. So when you first get to the transportation page, if you go to the Omega homepage, go to our programs, and then under transportation, there's the long-range transportation plan. And once that pops up, I'll just refresh it.
Takes you directly.
Right under the first paragraph is the 2020 public meeting slides, and they are in PDF format, but they'll be available. Any other questions? Thank you for taking the time to join us today, and if you do have any questions, feel free to continue commenting on this video or send us an email. Thank you.
Thanks.